The Galactic Confederation had existed for over 10,000 years. Hundreds of alien species lived together in what they called harmony. Most species followed the same path. They would develop space travel, explore their solar system, and then the Confederation would find them. The older species would guide the newcomers, teach them the rules, and show them their place in the galaxy. Humans did things differently. Earth scientists made the jump to faster-than-light travel on their own. No guidance, no teachers. They simply figured it out and went exploring. Their first meeting with aliens happened when a small human scout ship met a Vex vessel near the edge of human space. The Vex were peaceful water creatures who lived in ships filled with liquid. They were shocked to meet humans who had developed star travel without help. This news spread fast through the Confederation. Many species became worried. The human government decided to send someone to talk with the Confederation. They chose John Miller, an experienced diplomat who had solved many conflicts on Earth. John was tall with gray hair at his temples and calm blue eyes. He had a way of making people feel at ease, even when tensions were high. "It's the chance of a lifetime," John told his wife before leaving. "First human to speak for all of us out there." John's assistant was Olivia Grant, a young woman who could learn languages faster than anyone. She had short brown hair and quick eyes that missed nothing. Olivia had learned 7 Earth languages before she turned 20. Now she studied alien communication with the same intense focus. "I never thought I'd use my skills to talk with actual aliens," Olivia said as their ship prepared to leave Earth orbit. Their ship, the UEA's Handshake, traveled for 3 weeks to reach Nexus Prime, the central hub of the Confederation. The massive space station looked like a metal flower with hundreds of petals. Each section housed representatives from different worlds. John and Olivia felt small as they docked at the station. Guards met them at the airlock. The aliens were tall, insect-like creatures with 4 arms and compound eyes. They carried no visible weapons, but moved with clear military precision. "Welcome to Nexus Prime," said the lead guard through a translation device. "I am Security Chief Krev. The Council awaits you." As they walked through the station, John and Olivia saw aliens of every shape and size. Some floated in bubbles of special gas. Others moved on many legs or glided along the floor. Some looked almost human, while others seemed impossible by Earth biology. The central chamber of Nexus Prime was a huge room with hundreds of seats arranged in circles. In the middle stood a round table where the most important representatives sat. The room fell quiet when John and Olivia entered. High Counselor Zrath of the Arthane stood to greet them. He had gray skin that looked like stone and eyes that glowed yellow. His voice rumbled when he spoke. "The representatives of Earth may approach," he said. John walked forward with confidence while Olivia took notes on her tablet. He bowed slightly, just as they had practiced. "I bring greetings from Earth and all humans," John said. "We come seeking friendship and knowledge." Murmurs spread through the chamber. Some sounded welcoming, but others seemed concerned or even angry. "Earth is granted observational status," Zrath announced. "You may watch our proceedings and learn our ways before full consideration of your species." John noticed the careful wording. Not membership, not partnership, just watching and learning like children in school. Later that night in their assigned quarters, Olivia reviewed her notes. "Some of them are afraid of us," she told John. "Did you notice the Drax representatives? The silicon-based ones. They kept talking about containment protocols when they thought I wasn't listening." John looked out at the stars through their small window. "We have a lot to learn about the politics here, but I already see we'll need to be careful. Very careful." Neither John nor Olivia realized then just how dangerous those politics would become. Back on Earth, Admiral William Carter was already preparing ships and weapons, just in case talks failed. Humanity had come to the galactic table, but they would not be sitting there as anyone's servants. 6 months passed on Nexus Prime. John and Olivia learned the ways of the Confederation. They attended countless meetings, studied alien laws, and tried to make friends with other species. Some aliens were kind to them. Others kept their distance. The Vex, the water-dwelling aliens who first met humans, became their closest allies. The Vex ambassador, a blue-skinned creature named Lulani, often invited John to her water-filled chamber to share stories. "Your species develops so quickly," Lulani told John one day. Her words bubble through a translation device. "Most races take hundreds of years to discover what you have learned in decades." John smiled. "We're curious by nature, sometimes too curious for our own good." What John didn't say was that he was growing worried. In every meeting, the same problem appeared. Earth was only given observer status. Humans could watch but not vote on important matters. And some powerful aliens wanted to keep it that way forever. The Dracs were the worst. They were silicon-based life forms with crystal bodies and cold minds. Their leader, Council Member Vorn, openly called humans dangerous primitives when he thought John couldn't hear. The hive-minded Vorians were just as bad. They looked like tall, thin humans, but shared one connected mind. They whispered that Earth should be contained before humans spread too far. Olivia was better at gathering information than the aliens expected. Her quick mind and gift for languages let her understand conversations others thought private. One night she returned to their quarters with troubling news. "The Dracs are planning something," she whispered, though their room was supposed to be private. "They've been meeting with the Vorians and 3 other major species. They talk about Earth as a threat that needs control." John nodded slowly. "I suspected as much. Send a secure message to Earth. President Gibson needs to know." Back on Earth, the government was already preparing for problems. Admiral William Carter didn't trust aliens. He had steel-gray hair and a face lined from years of difficult decisions. The admiral had fought in Earth's last major war and knew how quickly peace could turn to conflict. "We hope for friendship but prepare for anything else," Carter told his officers at Earth Defense Headquarters. The underground base hummed with activity as ships were built and crews trained. His most promising officer was Lieutenant Samantha Powell. She was young with short black hair and a brilliant mind for technology. While politicians talked, Samantha worked. She led a team developing new shield systems for Earth's ships. "The Confederation doesn't know how much we understand about quantum fields," Samantha explained as she showed the Admiral her work. "These shields will stop any weapons we've detected from their ships." Admiral Carter nodded with approval. "Keep this classified, Lieutenant. If we need these shields, I want them to be a surprise." On Nexus Prime, John and Olivia continued their diplomatic work. They learned that the Confederation operated on consensus among the major species. Smaller races had little say in decisions. It wasn't the fair system it pretended to be. One morning, John received a private message from High Counselor Zrath. The stone-skinned alien requested a meeting without other representatives present. "I wish to speak freely," Zrath said when they met in a small chamber away from the main halls. "There are factions who fear your kind. They see how quickly humans adapt and create. They worry what you might become in a century or 2. John kept his face calm, though his heart beat faster. "We come in peace, Counselor." Zrath's yellow eyes studied John. "Peace requires trust, Ambassador Miller. And trust is in short supply when it comes to your species." That evening, John sent another secure message to Earth. He wrote only 5 words. "We may need options soon." President Laura Gibson read the message in the Oval Office. She was a tall woman with dark skin and a steady gaze that had guided America through difficult times. Now she led an entire planet at a crossroads. "Tell Admiral Carter to move his ships into position," she told her chief of staff. Quietly, "We still hope for peace, but John's right. We need options." Across the solar system, Earth's hidden fleet began to move. Humanity prepared for a day they hoped would never come. The day John feared finally arrived 3 weeks later. The council chamber was fuller than usual. Representatives from all member species attended, even those who normally sent only junior delegates. Something important was about to happen. High Counselor's wrath called the session to order. His stone-like face revealed nothing as he spoke. The council recognizes council member Vorn of the Drax Collective, Zrath announced. Vorn rose from his seat. Light reflected off his crystal body as he moved to the center of the chamber. The Drax representative's voice sounded like glass breaking when he spoke. Esteemed colleagues, today I bring forward motion 7293 concerning the status of Earth and its colonies, Vorn said. For the safety of all Confederation species and for the proper development of humanity itself, I propose restrictions on human expansion. John felt his stomach tighten. Beside him, Olivia typed notes rapidly on her tablet. Vorn continued, humans will be limited to their home solar system for a period of no less than 100 standard cycles. All human ships must carry Confederation monitoring devices. Any human technology development must be reviewed by the Technology Oversight Committee. The chamber erupted in a mix of voices. Some representatives voiced support. Others seemed concerned at such harsh terms. The smaller species, like the Vex, remained silent, afraid to oppose the powerful Drax. When Vorn finished, he looked directly at John. These measures are for humanity's own protection. You are simply too young a species to roam freely among the stars. John stood, his face calm despite his anger. The observer from Earth requests time to consult with our government regarding this proposal. High Counselor Zrath nodded. The council grants a recess of 3 standard days. As John and Olivia left the chamber, whispers followed them. In their quarters, Olivia finally spoke her mind. This isn't protection. It's prison, she said. They want to keep us contained while they decide if we're dangerous. John nodded. And we both know what happens to species the Confederation decides are dangerous. They get guided until they're no longer a threat. He opened a secure channel to Earth. We need to speak with the President. President Laura Gibson received their transmission in the White House Situation Room. Admiral Carter and his top officers sat with her. The President's face looked grim as John explained the situation. They want to cage us in our own solar system, John finished, and monitor everything we do or build. President Gibson turned to Admiral Carter. Your assessment, Admiral. Carter didn't hesitate. Accepting these terms would leave Earth vulnerable, Madam President. The Confederation could study our defenses while preventing us from exploring beyond our system. If they later decided to take action against us, we would be at a severe disadvantage. The President looked at the faces around the table, then back at John's image on the screen. Ambassador Miller, how would the Confederation react if we rejected these terms? She asked. John considered carefully. They expect us to accept, Madam President. Smaller species always do. Our refusal would shock them, but I can't predict what would follow. President Gibson stood and walked around the table slowly, thinking. She had led Earth through difficult negotiations before, but never with alien powers who saw humans as a potential threat. John, I'm authorizing you to reject their terms, she said finally. But I want you to do more than that. Present our own conditions for continued participation. John looked surprised. Our conditions, Madam President? Yes. Tell them we will share scientific discoveries that benefit all species. Tell them we will help defend smaller Confederation members who face threats. But we will not be contained, and we will not have our development monitored. Admiral Carter added, and inform them that Earth has defense capabilities they haven't yet seen. Make it clear that while we seek peace, we are not defenseless. John nodded, understanding his instructions, and if they reject our proposal. President Gibson's face hardened. Then you will inform the Confederation that Earth withdraws from consideration for membership. We came to join as equals, not as subjects. As the transmission ended, John looked at Olivia. Her eyes were wide with the weight of what they would soon do. They're not ready for this, she said quietly. John smiled grimly. No, they're not. That's our only advantage. 3 days passed quickly. On Nexus Prime, rumors spread about what the humans would do. Most aliens expected Earth to accept the Drax proposal with minor complaints. That was what new species always did when faced with demands from the powerful. The council chamber was packed when John and Olivia arrived. Extra viewing screens had been set up throughout Nexus Prime, so all residents could watch the proceedings. This had become the most interesting event in decades for many Confederation species. High Counselor Zrath opened the session. The council recognizes Ambassador John Miller of Earth. John walked to the center of the chamber. He wore a simple dark blue suit with Earth's new space emblem, a blue planet with stars surrounding it. He carried only a small datapad. Olivia sat at their assigned place, her face calm, but her eyes alert. Esteemed members of the Galactic Confederation, John began. His voice was steady and clear. For 6 months, we have observed your proceedings. We have learned your customs. We have shared our knowledge and sought friendship. The chamber was completely silent. Even the Vorians, who usually whispered among their hive mind, were still. Earth has considered the proposal put forward by Council Member Vorn, John continued. We have examined it carefully and consulted with our government. Vorn's crystal form seemed to brighten in anticipation. The Drax expected compliance, perhaps with minor requests for adjustments. John paused and looked around the chamber. He made eye contact with several representatives, including his friend Lulani of the Vex. Then he spoke words that would change galactic history. Earth rejects these terms completely. We did not cross the stars to become prisoners in our own solar system. Gasps and whispers erupted throughout the chamber. Vorn's crystal body flashed with pulses of light, a sign of Drax anger. High Counselor Zrath raised his hands for silence. Instead, John said when the room quieted, I am authorized to present Earth's conditions for continued participation in the Confederation. This caused even more commotion. New species did not present conditions. They accepted what they were given. John activated his datapad, and the chamber's main display showed Earth's proposal. Humanity offers scientific and medical exchange programs benefiting all species. We offer military assistance to protect smaller Confederation members who face external threats. We offer cultural exchange and trade. Council Member Vorn interrupted. This is unprecedented. Observer species do not make demands. John looked directly at Vorn. We make no demands. We offer partnership as equals. In return, we require recognition of our sovereignty and the right to develop and explore without restriction. The chamber erupted again. Some representatives shouted support for Vorn. Others seemed intrigued by Earth's offer of protection, especially smaller species who often suffered under the policies of the major powers. High Counselor Zrath called for order. The Council will debate this matter. Ambassador Miller, you will await our decision. John shook his head. No, High Counselor. Earth's offer requires an immediate response. We did not come to the stars to wait while others decide our fate. Vorn rose again, his crystal form pulsing with angry light. This is not how the Confederation works. You cannot dictate terms to us. John's voice remained calm. Then perhaps the Confederation does not work for humanity. He nodded to Olivia, who stood and began gathering their materials. The action caught everyone by surprise. What are you doing? Demanded Zrath. John looked at the High Counselor. We came to this table as equals seeking friendship. You have offered subjugation disguised as protection. Therefore, with regret, Earth withdraws from Confederation consideration. The chamber exploded into chaos. Some representatives jumped to their feet. Others called for guards. A few smaller species watched with what looked like admiration. John and Olivia simply walked toward the exit. Guards moved to block their path, but stopped when High Counselor Zrath waved them back. The ancient alien understood what others did not. Forcing the humans to stay would only make things worse. As the doors closed behind them, John and Olivia heard the continued uproar. They walked calmly to their ship, the UES Handshake, where the crew had been on standby for 3 days. Take us home, John told the captain. As they pulled away from Nexus Prime, Olivia looked at the screens, showing hundreds of messages flooding in from Confederation species. "What have we done?" she asked quietly. John smiled grimly. "We just changed the game." News of Earth's departure spread across the galaxy faster than any ship could travel. Communication networks buzzed with the story of how humans had done the unthinkable. They had walked away from the Confederation table. Back on Earth, President Gibson addressed the United Nations. Leaders from all nations gathered to hear what would come next. "Today we begin a new chapter," she said. "The Galactic Confederation offered us a place as second-class members. We declined. Now we must prepare for whatever follows." Admiral Carter put Earth's defense forces on alert. Ships that had been hidden now moved into the open. Monitoring stations at the edge of the solar system watched for any sign of Confederation vessels. "No alien ships enter our space without permission," Carter ordered. "Any approach must be treated as potentially hostile until proven otherwise." Lieutenant Samantha Powell, now promoted to captain, oversaw the deployment of her new shield technology to all Earth ships. Her team worked day and night to prepare Earth's defenses. "The Confederation has no idea what we can do," she told her engineers. "Let's keep it that way unless we need to show them." As weeks turned to months, and months to years, something unexpected happened. Earth sealed its borders completely. No human ships left the solar system. No alien vessels were permitted to enter. The Confederation sent 14 diplomatic missions over the next 3 years. All were turned away at the boundary of human space. But inside this self-imposed isolation, humanity was far from idle. Earth experienced what historians would later call the closed-border renaissance. Without Confederation interference, human technology advanced at an astonishing pace. Captain Powell's team created faster engines that could cross the galaxy in weeks instead of months. Scientists developed better farming methods that ended hunger on Earth. The colonies on Mars and Europa grew rapidly as people moved outward within their solar system. President Gibson started a bold new plan called Operation Lighthouse. This secret project would establish human colonies beyond Confederation space, in regions the older aliens had never explored. Frank Nelson led this effort. He was a quiet man with a keen mind and steady hands. Before becoming a space explorer, he had been a farmer in Iowa. Now he would lead the first humans to settle beyond known space. "We go quietly," he told the colonists aboard the ship Pathfinder. "We build our homes far from watchful eyes. We create a network of human worlds that no one can contain." The first colony ship slipped past the edge of human space using new stealth technology. The Confederation monitoring stations never detected it. Within 6 months, 5 more ships followed, each carrying 1,000 colonists to different star systems. Meanwhile, the Confederation faced its own problems. The powerful species that had always controlled everything now argued among themselves. The Dracs blamed the Vorians for frightening humans away. The Vorians accused the Dracs of being too harsh in their demands. Smaller species began to question the old power structure. If humans could walk away, perhaps they could demand better treatment too. The Vex ambassador Luleni spoke in council meetings about reforming how new species were welcomed. High Counselor Zrath watched these changes with concern. The ancient system he had helped maintain for centuries was showing cracks. In private meetings with his advisors, he admitted the truth. "We mishandled the humans," he said. "We treated them like all new species, but they are not like the others. They develop too quickly. They think differently. And now they work behind a wall we cannot see through." One of his advisors, a member of the long-lived Eldar species, asked the question many were thinking. What if they are building weapons? What if they plan revenge? Zrath looked out at the stars visible through his chamber window. "That is what terrifies me. We do not know what they plan. We do not know what they can do now. We can only wait." But the waiting made the Confederation nervous. And nervous species sometimes make dangerous choices. 3 years and 4 months after Earth closed its borders, the Vorian collective made a terrible mistake. Their leadership decided that human silence meant human weakness. They saw an opportunity to learn Earth's secrets while the Dracs and other major powers argued among themselves. The Vorians sent 5 ships toward the solar system. They called it a scientific expedition, but the vessels carried advanced scanning equipment and weapons. Their real mission was to test human defenses and gather military information. Earth's monitoring stations detected the Vorian ships crossing the boundary line. Admiral Carter sent a clear message to the approaching vessels. "This is Earth Defense Force. You have entered restricted space. Reverse course immediately." The Vorian ships ignored the warning. They continued forward, their sensors probing Earth's defense network. They believed their technology was superior. They were wrong. Captain Samantha Powell commanded the UES Defender, Earth's most advanced warship. Her vessel was hidden behind Mars, out of the Vorians' sensor range. Admiral Carter gave her simple orders. "Show them we're not helpless, Captain, but no casualties if possible." Powell brought the Defender into position. Her crew was nervous but well-trained. None of them had faced alien ships in actual combat before. "Target their engines and communication systems only," Powell ordered. "Precision shots. I want them disabled, not destroyed." The Defender appeared suddenly on the Vorian sensors. Before they could react, Powell's ship fired 3 quick bursts of energy. The new weapons cut through the Vorian shields like they weren't even there. 3 of the 5 Vorian ships went dark, drifting in space with disabled engines. The remaining 2 Vorian vessels turned to fire at the Defender. Powell activated the shield system she had spent years developing. The Vorian weapons hit the shields and seemed to vanish, absorbed completely with no damage. "Return fire," Powell ordered calmly. Same targets as before. 2 more precise shots, and all 5 Vorian ships were now powerless, floating in space. The entire battle had lasted less than 2 minutes. "Send rescue shuttles," Powell told her crew. "Bring the Vorians aboard and treat them well. Then tow their ships to the boundary and send them home." News of the encounter spread quickly through the Confederation. Emergency meetings were called. Many species now felt genuine fear of humans. If Earth could so easily defeat Vorian ships, what else could they do? High Counselor Zrath knew the situation had become dangerous. He sent a private message directly to President Gibson, bypassing normal diplomatic channels. The humans' actions were justified, Zrath told the Emergency Council meeting. The Vorians entered their space after clear warnings. Earth showed restraint by disabling rather than destroying the ships. Council member Vorn disagreed strongly. They revealed advanced weapons. "They threaten us all." But many other species sided with Zrath this time. The Vex ambassador Lulani spoke forcefully. The Vorians invaded their space. Humans defended themselves without taking lives. Perhaps we should be talking with them instead of fearing them. In the White House, President Gibson received Zrath's message. She discussed it with her advisors, including Admiral Carter and Ambassador John Miller, who had returned to Earth years ago. "He's reaching out because they're scared," Miller said. "What the Vorians did was stupid, but it gives us an opening." Admiral Carter nodded. "Captain Powell's team showed just enough of our capabilities to make them nervous, but not enough to reveal all our advances." President Gibson considered carefully. "Maybe it's time to talk again, but not as supplicants. This time, we set the terms." She made her decision. "John, I want you to contact Zrath. Tell him Earth is willing to resume discussions, but not on Nexus Prime. We'll meet at a neutral location, at the edge of our space." Miller looked surprised. "Who will lead our delegation?" The president turned to Admiral Carter. "The Admiral will lead, to show our strength." Then she pointed at a report on her desk. "And I want Dr. Alicia Martinez to go as well." Dr. Martinez was Earth's leading expert on alien biology and psychology. She had studied all available data on Confederation species for years, understanding their thinking better than anyone. "If we're going back to the table," President Gibson said, "we're doing it as equals this time. And we'll make sure they understand that from the start." 1 month later, a new space station hung in the darkness at the edge of human territory. It was built by Earth engineers in record time, showing yet another example of human efficiency. The station was simple but impressive, with a large central meeting room surrounded by living quarters for all species. Confederation ships approached cautiously. They carried representatives from 12 major species, including High Counselor Drath of the Arthene, Council Member Vorn of the Drax, and Ambassador Lulani of the Vex. The Vorians had not been invited after their failed incursion. The Earth delegation waited inside the station. Admiral William Carter stood tall in his formal uniform with gold trim and medals from his years of service. Beside him was Dr. Alicia Martinez, a woman with kind eyes and a brilliant mind who had dedicated her life to understanding alien psychology. They watched as the alien representatives entered the meeting room. "Welcome to Horizon Station," Admiral Carter said. His voice was firm but not unfriendly. "Please be seated." The aliens took their places at a round table. There were no higher or lower positions. Everyone sat as equals. This small detail was not lost on the visitors. High Counselor Drath spoke first. "We appreciate Earth's willingness to resume dialogue. The unfortunate incident with the Vorian vessels was not approved by the Confederation Council." Admiral Carter nodded. "We considered it resolved once their ships were returned. Now we look forward, not back." Dr. Martinez watched the body language of each alien. She noticed how Vorn's crystal form dimmed slightly, showing his discomfort. She saw how the smaller species looked to Earth's representatives with hope in their eyes. "Earth has prospered during our time of isolation," Admiral Carter continued. "We have developed our technology, expanded our colonies within our system, and prepared for our future. Now we are ready to engage with the galaxy again, but on new terms." Vorn shifted in his seat. "What terms do humans propose this time?" Dr. Martinez spoke for the first time. Her voice was gentle but confident. "Terms that benefit everyone, not just the powerful." She activated a display in the center of the table. It showed star maps and technology schematics. "Earth offers advancements in medicine that can help all species. We offer faster engine designs that can cut travel time between systems by half. We offer food production methods that can end hunger on struggling worlds." The representatives leaned forward, interested despite themselves. Even Vorn seemed intrigued by what he saw. Admiral Carter continued. "In exchange, we ask for equal status in the Confederation, not as newcomers, but as full members. We ask for the right to expand into unclaimed regions of space, and we propose a new defense alliance to protect smaller species from threats." That last part caused a stir. Many smaller species had suffered under the political dominance of the Drax and Vorians for centuries. The idea of protection from a powerful ally changed everything. Lulani of the Vex spoke up. "The Vex would welcome such an arrangement. Too long have the small voices been ignored in council meetings." 3 other representatives quickly agreed. The room buzzed with excited conversation. Vorn's crystal body flashed with pulses of light. "This is outrageous. Humans cannot simply return after years of isolation and change the structure of the Confederation." High Counselor Drath raised his hand for quiet. "Actually, they can propose changes. All members can. That is our law." He looked at Admiral Carter with new respect. "You have been studying our legal codes during your isolation, haven't you?" Admiral Carter smiled slightly. "Dr. Martinez has been very thorough in her research." Dr. Martinez looked around the table. "We know that several mid-sized species have been seeking reforms for centuries. We know that the current power structure benefits only a few. We offer an alternative." By the end of that first meeting, 5 species had already indicated support for Earth's proposals. The galaxy was shifting before their eyes. That night, as the alien representatives returned to their ships to consider Earth's offer, High Counselor Drath remained behind to speak privately with Admiral Carter. "You planned this all along, didn't you?" Drath asked. "The withdrawal, the isolation, all of it." Admiral Carter looked out the viewport at the stars. "Let's just say we recognized an opportunity when we saw one. Humans are good at adapting to difficult situations. Drath nodded slowly. The Dracs and Vorians will resist these changes. We expected that, Carter replied calmly. But they'll find that the old ways of doing things are over. 5 years passed since the day humans had walked away from the Confederation table. Now they returned on their own terms, and the galaxy would never be the same. The negotiations at Horizon Station lasted 3 months. Every day brought new agreements and alliances. 17 species formally aligned with Earth, creating what became known as the Unity Accord. Even some larger species joined when they saw the benefits of human technology. The final signing ceremony took place in the Grand Chamber on Nexus Prime, the same room where John Miller had once stood as a mere observer. Now he returned as Earth's senior ambassador. Beside him stood Olivia Grant, no longer his assistant, but a respected diplomat in her own right. "This is a historic day," High Counselor Drath announced to the packed chamber. "Today we sign a new galactic charter that recognizes all species as equal partners in our shared future." John stepped forward to sign for Earth. As he pressed his thumb to the document reader, he remembered that day 5 years ago when they had walked out. The memory made him smile. The Dracs and Vorians had fought against the changes until the end. But when 8 more species threatened to leave the Confederation and join with humans instead, they finally accepted the new reality. Now Council Member Vorn watched with his crystal body dimmed as the new charter became official. But the true power of humanity went far beyond what most Confederation species knew. While negotiations had been happening at Horizon Station, Frank Nelson's colonies beyond known space had thrived. 27 new human settlements now existed in regions the Confederation had never explored. These colonies had discovered resources and ancient technologies that made Earth an economic powerhouse. Frank himself had found ruins of a civilization that had existed 1,000,000 years before. The knowledge from these ruins helped humans develop even more advanced technology. Admiral Carter, now promoted to fleet commander, established a joint defense initiative with the smaller species who had joined the Unity Accord. Captain Powell, now Admiral Powell, ran training programs that helped these species protect themselves. "We don't want to fight for them," Powell told her officers. "We want to teach them to stand on their own." Dr. Martinez worked with scientists from 30 different species to solve medical problems that had plagued them for centuries. Her research team created cures for diseases that had killed millions, earning the gratitude of worlds throughout the galaxy. After the signing ceremony, John and Olivia stood by a viewport looking out at the stars. They remembered their first arrival at Nexus Prime years before, when everything had seemed so overwhelming. "Did you ever imagine it would turn out like this?" Olivia asked. John shook his head. "Never. I just hoped we wouldn't start an interstellar war." "Your bold move changed everything," said a voice behind them. They turned to see Lulani of the Vex floating in her water bubble. "When humans left the table, you showed us all that the old ways could be challenged." Across the room, High Counselor Drath watched the 3 of them talking. The ancient Arthane had guided the Confederation for centuries. He had seen species rise and fall, conflicts come and go. But he had never seen anything like the humans. "They changed more in 5 years than we changed in 5,000, he told his aide. The Confederation, once stagnant under the control of a few powerful species, now buzzed with energy and innovation. Smaller species that had been ignored for millennia now had a voice in decisions. New explorations pushed the boundaries of known space. Cultural exchanges brought fresh ideas to worlds that had changed little for generations. President Gibson, serving her final year in office, received the news of the signing with satisfaction. In the Oval Office, she spoke with Admiral Carter by secure channel. "The gamble paid off," she said. "Leaving the table forced them to see us differently." Admiral Carter nodded. "Sometimes you have to walk away to move forward." That phrase would become famous throughout human space. It appeared on monuments and in history books, reminding future generations of the lesson learned. True strength sometimes means having the courage to walk away. The species who had once watched in terror as humans abandoned the table now looked to them with respect, partnership, and hope for a better future among the stars.